What's up everyone, I am Jamie with threelittlegoats.com. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. If you've been around for a while, welcome back. I'm glad to see you as always. So I've already put out a video of us transforming a regular old shed into my now office where we are standing right now. And before I do a complete room office tour or whatever you want to call it, I figured I would just take you along some of the projects that we did to get it where it's at. And today I'm going to show you one of my favorite projects for this room, and that is my Hexagon shelves that I built. They are super easy to make. You don't need a lot of tools. I used a miter saw, but if you don't have a miter saw, you can use a circular saw with a straight edge. You can even use a hand saw if you need to, as long as you can cut out that 30-degree angle. And if you can't do that with a miter saw or a hand saw, a lot of places will sell like miter boxes, and I think some of them come with 30-degree angles. If not, they come with 22.5 angles. So instead of a hexagon, you can make an octagon shaped, which I think would probably be pretty cool as well. But like I said, it's a super easy project. I love how they turned out. It was just something to finish off this long wall that I had no idea what I was going to do with. And the best part, it didn't cost me anything because I used the leftover shiplap that we used to cover the walls in here to make them. I just ripped down the tongue and groove off of each end of it, and now I have some beautiful shelves. So without further ado, let's initiate some voiceover and let's get started. The first thing you're going to need to do is adjust your miter saw so it is at a 30-degree cut. If you don't have a miter saw, you can use a circular saw as well with a straight edge. It's completely up to you. Now I'm kind of working on a makeshift setup because all my tools just literally got unpacked this week. So I just put a piece of 2x4 at the end and used it as a stop block. I knew each piece I wanted cut on my hexagon shelves would be 9 inches long. And this just makes the process go a lot faster. It's not necessary, it just makes it a lot easier. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to make that very first cut. And this is where I realized that I definitely need a new blade. After doing all the shiplap and everything in my office, this blade has about had it. I do end up switching out blades halfway through. But instead of having to readjust my blade every cut, I just flip the board over, and then that way I can make a mirror cut of 30 degrees on the other side of the board. And then you can see I got a new blade and everything started going a lot smoother. And because I have the stop block there, it was pretty much just an assembly line of cutting the boards because I didn't have to remeasure everything. Like I said, if you can't set up a stop block at the end of your miter saw, or if you're using a circular saw, all you have to do is measure each of your boards from the long end of the cut. And it's pretty simple. I mean, if I can do this, anybody can do this. And then once all of my boards had been cut to size, it was time to start the glue up process. Now because these are end cuts, they're not going to stick together as well with wood glue. The grain in the wood kind of acts like a straw and just sucks all of that glue into it. So what I like to do is just do a very thin coat of glue on each of the end grains. That way it gets a little bit tacky and it prevents a lot of excess glue getting sucked up into the wood and not giving it a strong bond. And I mean, I'm putting such a thin layer on here that by the time I'm done with the last one in this set, the first few are already dry. It doesn't take a lot, just a little bit, just to close up all of those little holes so it doesn't suck all the glue in. Once that first layer of glue is dry, I'm going to start attaching all of my pieces together. I'm going to give it a nice liberal amount of more wood glue, and I've actually got some press and seal tape down on my board just to prevent getting glue everywhere because I am such a messy gluer. And then I'm just going to go piece by piece, and I'm actually going to use my brad nailer, and I have 1/2-inch staples in my brad nailer to attach everything together. I did eventually switch over to 1-inch brad nails, and both of them worked perfectly fine. I just had run out of staples. Now, a lot of people will recommend doing the taping method where you can lay everything down and then kind of tape it and hold it all together. It didn't work for me. I guess my painter's tape was just in the garage too long and it just wasn't very sticky and it ended up being a hot mess. So I just prefer to just go one section at a time and gluing them and then nailing them together. And then once everything was glued up and nailed together, it was time to just get some good old-fashioned wood filler and fill in all of the cracks. You can kind of see how I film here because my camera is up overhead and I can't see the screen. I use my phone as an external kind of screen for it. It's pretty neat. It's a little weird watching it in the video, but it is what it is. I'm still learning my process and figuring out where all my camera stuff's gonna go. Bear with me, it gets better with time, I swear. But I'm just taking some wood filler and I'm filling in any cracks and then of course the nail holes. I ended up using the leftover shiplap from my office build and it was tongue and groove, so I just ripped the tongue and groove off of it. But some of the pieces were kind of twisted and warped just because they've been sitting outside since we built our shed. So not everything fits perfectly together, so that's what the wood filler is there for, just to fix any little mistakes. And then once the wood filler and the glue and everything was nice and dry, it was just time to start the sanding process. I started off hand sanding with a 80 grit sanding block just to knock down all of like the big chunks of wood filler, and then eventually I switched over to my little mouse sander because it gets into the grooves, and I sand it from 80 grit all the way down to 220 grit. And then it was finally time for my favorite part, the staining. I used a Minwax espresso finish and I love this stain. I stained my shelves in my office, my worktop in my office. Everything basically is this color in my office that I have stained, and it's just a great neutral color. I love it. But of course I had set aside some staining sponges specifically for this project, and because our garage still hasn't been unpacked, it is still a hot mess, I couldn't find it. So I'm using some sponges that I found in some art supplies to stain everything. But it's all gravy. It worked out. I ended up letting them dry overnight, and then I gave them a clear coat of poly acrylic, which for some reason it didn't record. But to hang these, I'm just using some sawtooth hangers. They come with these little tiny nails. I throw those away. They're useless. They're too short to actually do anything with. And because these do have a little bit of beef into them, I switched them over to, I usually either use a 1" or a 7/8 inch nail. This time I'm using a 1" nail. You just got to make sure that the nail is going to fit through the holes that are in the sawtooth, and the head of the nail isn't going to go all the way through it. So in order to attach the sawtooth, it's pretty easy. I just measured My shelves are 9 inches long, so of course about 4.5 inches is around center point for my shelves, and I just make a little mark so I know exactly where to put my hangers. And then on the hangers, most of them will have a little indentation or marking letting you know where the center of the hanger is. It's really, really foolproof. Like I said, if I can do this project, anybody can do this project. And then it was just a matter of nailing all of the hangers in. And then it was just a matter of hanging them up. The wall that I have in my office is what I intended on putting here all this time. I love these hexagons. They fill up the entire wall. And the easiest way to hang them is as soon as I had the center one hung, I could kind of just eyeball where I wanted the rest of them. And then I just use a pencil to mark the wall. And then I used wood screws to screw them in. As long as it's got a flat head on it, you can use it because it'll slide right into the sawtooth. And because all of my walls are the shiplap wood, I wasn't really concerned with having to find any studs. But if you have drywall, you may want to find studs to hang these on, or use mollies to make sure that they hold up. And then I just took a level just to make sure everything was nice and straight, and we were done. I finished hanging up the rest of them. I did a total of 5, and I absolutely love how they turned out.
So that is what I have got for you guys today. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. It really helps. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. What are you waiting for? We put out new videos every single week. And I do promise we will be putting out a room reveal / tour of my she shed / soap office / office / filming room / all the things here in the next coming weeks. I just have a few more things I need to tweak and finish making, like curtains for the loft area. But I think we should have that video out within the next 2 weeks. So be sure to subscribe for that. I'm going to be making some soap this week, so those videos should be out in the next coming weeks as well. Just lots of fun things going on. And if you haven't already, be sure to follow me on Instagram, because that's probably where I am the most active. And you'll see a lot of things going on behind the scenes with the farm and what we've been doing here as well to get everything ready for the animals. Hopefully come late fall, early spring is when we'll start getting animals. So be sure to stick around for all of that as well, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!